Good day to each and everyone, especially to our kind and understanding Professor, Sir Leandro Torion. I am Kathleen Dinampo and I was assigned to report about psychosocial development by Erik Erikson. Erik Erikson was born on June 15, 1902. He was a development psychologist known for his theory of psychosocial development. He served as a professor at Harvard and Yale. Erik Erikson was born in Germany and an illegitimate child of Danish parents. This fact bothered him all his life. Dropped out of high school and spent time traveling in Europe and studying art. Erik Erikson met Sigmund Freud and studied psychoanalysis with Freud's daughter Anna Freud. Erik Erikson studied young people in different cultures and became interested in how young people acquire a personal identity and how society helps shape it. Erik Erikson believed that a personality emerges from an inner and outer conflicts. The crises arise to each of the 8 stages of each life. So here is the stages of psychosocial development that the German psychologist Erik Erikson proposed. So Erik Erikson proposed psychosocial theory demonstrating that people pass through 8 stages of psychosocial struggle in their lifetime. These psychosocial struggles contribute to people's personalities all throughout their development. So each stage involves a specific psychosocial struggle that must be resolved to move on to the next stage. The success or failure of these struggles contributes to the development of an individual's personality and sense of self. So here are the 8 psychosocial stages proposed by Erik Erikson, and these are as follows. The first is the trust versus mistrust, or the infancy stage. Second is the autonomy versus shame and doubt, or the toddlerhood stage. Next is the initiative versus guilt, or the preschool stage, and the industry versus inferiority, or the school age stage. Identity versus rule of confusion, or the adolescent stage, and intimacy versus isolation, or the young adulthood stage. Generativity versus stagnation, or the middle adulthood stage. And the last is the ego integrity versus despair, or the late adulthood stage. So the first stage is the trust versus mistrust. So in this stage, children are completely dependent on others. Trust is established when babies given adequate warmth, touching, love, and physical care. Mistrust caused by inadequate or unpredictable care and by cold, indifferent, and rejecting by parents. So in this first stage, the infancy stage, in Erik Erikson's psychosocial development theory, it is a critical period where foundation of trust and mistrust is laid. spanning from the birth of 18 months or 1-year-old kapin. This stage is characterized by the child's complete dependence on caregivers. The child's interaction with the environment is mediated through caregivers, and quality of care shapes the child's perception of the world. So in this stage, when the child's needs are consistently met, a sense of trust is cultivated. For example, when a baby cries and promptly comforted and cared for, so the child learns to trust that the caregivers will respond to his or her needs. However, neglect or inconsistent care leads to the development of mistrust. So, ani day nga stage, the first stage, infancy stage, kung dili constant ang imong actions, care and action sa baby or sa bata during this stage, it may cause mistrust. So, infancy needs constant affection. Okay, second stage of psychosocial development is the autonomy versus shame and doubt. So, here, autonomy, doing things for themselves. Overprotective or ridiculing parents may cause children to doubt abilities and feel shameful about their actions. So, in stage 2, autonomy versus shame and doubt, or toddlerhood. Toddlerhood is the second stage in Erik Erikson's psychosocial development theory. Spans from 18 months to 2 to 3 years old. So this stage is marked by critical dichotomy. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. The child's development during this phase is centered around learning to do things independently, a process that lays the groundwork for self-belief and personal autonomy. So, when a toddler is encouraged and praised for their efforts to do things on their own, they develop strong sense of autonomy. This sense of autonomy is not just about by physical task, but extends to emotional independence and self-confidence. For example, so a toddler is learning to feed themselves or put things on their own. They may put on their shoes not only gains physical skills but also builds a beliefs of their abilities. Okay, again, for example, a toddler is learning to feed themselves. So, ang toddler, ganahan man siya na siya og magbuhat-buhat og butang nga iya hala magbuot-buot na kay mo follow man na sila sa parents niya, kung mga tao around them, kung unsay buhaton sa mga tao sa palibot niya kay iya man ang sundugon. So, imo siyang pasagdan nga for example, mag-feed siya, magkaunsyag siya ang usa. So, it will develop daw not only by physical skills but also builds a belief in their abilities. So, sugod na sila og kakat-on by their own. Mo ni siya in this stage. However, if a toddler is discouraged from working independently or is not allowed to explore and try things on their own, they may become doubtful and ashamed of their abilities. So, kung ani nga stage kay sigihan lang na nimo siya spoon feed, ikaw ray siging hungit or magsalig na siya, dili na siya makaton. So at the end, kung wala ang mama nga walay makahungit niya tingkaon or unsay mga buhat-buhaton, so mag-feel niya nga dili niya kaya, mag-doubt siya sa iyang self nga dili ni nako kaya kay wala si mama. So mo ni siya kanang toddlerhood is a very challenging part for us mothers na nanay mga anak diha kay in this stage toddlers are most like to explore new things yun siya kung unsay makita nila sa palibot nga ipangbuhat-buhat sa mga tao kay ganahan jud na sila nga ilang pang sundugon. So as mothers careful gyud ta sa atong mga ipangsulti or pangbuhaton kay this stage mga toddlers kanang kusog kay na sila mag-follow nato magsundog-sundog, so mo reflect ra na siya kung unsang kanang act or attitude sa imong bata that stage, reflect na siya sa mostly sa mama kay stick ba yan ang mga bata sa tua. So be careful in this stage. Next is stage 3, the initiative versus guilt. Okay, initiative. Parents reinforce by giving children freedom to play, use imagination, and ask questions. Guilt may occur if parents criticize, prevent play, or discourage a child's questions. Okay, stage 3 is initiative versus guilt or preschool stage. So the preschool stage encompassing ages 3 to 5 is a vital phase of Erik Erikson's psychosocial development. During this stage, children grapple with feelings of initiative versus guilt, focusing on autonomous actions of the formation of goals and aims. So children at this stage are eager to explore, learn, and accomplish tasks on their own. Encouragement and support from caregivers foster a sense of initiative, allowing children to feel motivated and purposeful. For example, a child who successfully builds a block tower or dresses themselves feels a sense of accomplishment and autonomy. So, ani nga stage kay kung naay small accomplishment ang mga bata, kay imo dyan na siyang imong i-praise ba na siya or imong tagaan og bili kung unsi ang nabuhat kay para ma-proud siya sa iyang self pod nga wow, I made it. So importante na sa mga bata and this stage. So however, criticism or discouragement from caregivers can lead to feelings of guilt and despair. So in this stage, avoid criticism, dread, and discouragement so that the child will not develop or feel guilt of not doing things right. Okay, guidelines for teacher in this stage. Teachers should encourage initiative in preschool children. Examples: have a free choice time when children can select any activity or game. Have some costumes and props that go with stories the children enjoy. Encourage the children to act out the stories or make up new adventures for favorite characters. Okay, next stage is industry versus inferiority or the early school years stage. So, industry occurs when child is praised for productive activities such as painting and building. Inferiority occurs if child's efforts are regarded as messy or inadequate. So in this stage, the early school stage, ranging from age 6 to 11. It is a pivotal phase in Erik Erikson's psychosocial development theory. This stage is characterized by the conflict between industry and inferiority, where children begin to recognize their individuality and seek validation for their achievements in various domains such as sports and academics. During this stage, children are keen to explore their abilities and strive to be productive and competent. They seek praise and support from peers, caregivers, teachers, which reinforce their sense of accomplishments. So, for example, a child who excels in spelling bee and receives praise from teachers and parents feels a strong sense of industry and self-worth. However, the absence of positive reinforcement or recognition can lead to feelings of inferiority and incompetence. So here, kung ang bata daw during this stage does not receive support or encouragement, it may develop a sense of failure and inferiority, impacting their self-esteem. So, maapektuhan nilang self-esteem and willingness to engage in their future challenges. Okay, guidelines. In this stage, there's guidelines for teacher. Make sure that students have opportunities to set and work toward their goals. Examples: begin with short assignment, then move to longer ones. Monitor students' progress by setting up progress checkpoints. Have rewards for most improved, most helpful, most hardworking for providing support who seem discouraged. Okay, stage 5, the adolescence or the identity versus rule of confusion. So in this stage, identity for the adolescents, problems answering who am I. Rule of confusion occurs when adolescents are unsure of where they are going and who they are. So here the adolescent stage extending from age 12 to 18 is a complex of and transformative phase in Erik Erikson's psychosocial development theory. This stage is marked by struggle between identity and role of confusion, where adolescents grapple with understanding their place in the world and defining their future goals and objectives. So, during adolescence, individuals actively seek to develop a personal identity, exploring various rules, beliefs, and values. They strive to understand their uniqueness and position in the world, often experimenting with different personas. For example, a teenager may explore various hobbies, social groups, or career paths to understand what resonates with their core self. However, excessive responsibilities or lack of guidance can lead to psychosocial crisis, resulting in confusion about goals and objectives. This chaos can hinder the development of a strong sense of identity, leading to uncertainty and lack of direction in life. So in this stage, the adolescents kanang need yun ni sila og proper guidance from the parents. Diri mag-start ang katong mga crush-crush, ibog-ibog, uyab-uyab. So at this age, kaning adolescents kanang need yun ni og guidance from the caregivers or parents. Okay, there. Here's the guidance for teachers. Give students many models for career choices and other adult roles. For examples, invite guest speakers to describe how and why they choose their profession. Encourage them to talk to school counselors. Be tolerant with teenage and don't impose strict dress and hair codes, give students realistic feedback about themselves. Okay, so here proceed to stage 6, the young adulthood stage, intimacy versus isolation. So, intimacy, ability to care about others and to share experiences with them. Isolation, feeling alone and uncared for in life. So, stage 6, the young adulthood stage, encompassing ages 19 to 40 years old, is a defining period of Erik Erikson's psychosocial development theory, characterized by the tension between intimacy and isolation. During this stage, individuals strive to create and nurture meaningful relationship with friends, family, and romantic partners. So, the focus on intimacy reflects a deep human need to connect with others, not just romantically, but also in friendships and familial relationships. So, success in forming intimate connection leads to a sense of belonging and emotional fulfillment. For example, a young adult who builds a close-knit circle of friends and a loving partnership feels supported and valued. However, struggles with relationship can lead to feeling of loneliness and isolation. Failure to establish meaningful connections may result in a sense of detachment and lack of emotional depth in relationships. Okay, next stage is the generativity versus stagnation, or the middle adulthood. So, generativity, interest in guiding the next generation. Stagnation, when one is only concerned with one's own needs and comforts. Okay, the middle adulthood stage, spanning ages 40 to 65 years old, is a profound phase in Erik Erikson's psychosocial development theory, marked by the tension between generativity versus stagnation. During this stage, individuals often feel a sense of responsibility and care, referred to as generativity. So, generativity involves looking out for others and conveying wisdom and experience to younger generations. People at this stage often act as mentors, sharing what they have learned and nurturing growth in others. For example, a session professional may take a younger colleague under their wing, providing guidance and support. However, failure to fulfill this mentoring role can lead to feelings of inadequacy, bitterness, and disappointment. This stagnation can result in loneliness and restlessness, disconnecting individuals from friends, family, and community. Okay, so the last stage is the integrity versus despair, or the late adulthood stage. Okay, integrity, self-respect developed when people have lived richly and responsibly. Despair occurs when previous life events are viewed with regret, experiences heartache and remorse. This phase occurs during old age and is focused on reflecting back on life. So those who are unsuccessful during this phase will feel that their life has been wasted and will experience many regrets. The individual will left with feeling of bitterness and despair. So in this stage, the last stage, which is the late adulthood stage, commencing at the age of 65 and continuing throughout the rest of his or her life. It is the final phase of Erik Erikson's psychosocial development theory. This stage is defined by the conflict between ego integrity and despair. It is the time of reflection where individuals assess their lives, achievement, and contributions. Ego integrity means a sense of contentment and pride in what has been achieved. Individuals with ego integrity age gracefully, feeling fulfilled and willing to share their knowledge and wisdom with others. For example, a retired teacher may feel a sense of accomplishment in having educated generations of students and continue to mentor young educators. So on the other hand, if a person does not feel a sense of any achievement in their past life, they may feel sadness and despair. This can lead a feeling of guilt, regret, and a life spent in remorse. Okay, so that ends my report. So here's a word from Very Well. It is important to remember that the psychosocial stages are just one theory of personality development. Some research may support certain aspects of this theoretical framework, but does not mean that every aspect of the theory is supported by evidence. The theory can, however, be a helpful way to think about some of the different conflicts and challenges that people may face as they go through life. So learning about each stage can provide insight into what you might face as you age. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you and God bless us all.